Welcome to the EFF second series of our video financial series. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc. I'm Director of Community Relations for Equity First Foundation. We are a not-for-profit organization, and we provide financial literacy and financial education for people of all stages and ages. I'm happy to talk to an expert today. Her name is Karen Tenenbaum. She's a lawyer, and she works for Tenenbaum Law. She's going to be talking about top 10 COVID-19 tax relief provisions you need to know. Really important topic for all of us. So welcome, Karen.
Hi, thank you so much, Lisa. I think
Sure.
what EFF is doing is so amazing. What a great opportunity for me. I thank you so much. And what you're doing for the community to provide this kind of financial education is really wonderful. And I'm proud to be part of this group.
Thank you, Karen. And I also want to acknowledge your support. We appreciate the fact that you're on our board of directors, and we love partnering with you. So thanks so much, and let's get right into the topic. There are lots of issues facing businesses and individuals today in the area of tax relief. So let's start talking about the financial problems.
Okay, before you even ask any questions, I want to tell you a little bit about me. So I'm, as you mentioned, I'm Karen Tenenbaum from Tenenbaum Law in Melville. We handle IRS and New York State tax problems. That's all we do. I'm an attorney and a CPA, and I have an LLM in tax. And I've been doing this since, 37 years. I'm doing this for 37 years. And next year I have my own firm for 25 years. And all we do is help taxpayers. We can help anytime somebody has a financial hardship. And we know that this is going to be happening right now. So many people are out of work, can't pay their taxes. And although there are relief provisions that we're going to go over today, on July 15th, when they owe taxes, they still may have a problem. And it would be nice to know what the options are. And we're going to go through some of them. What I also want to say is that I have a top 10 list of the things that we're going to cover today. And if anybody wants a copy, they could email me at taxhelpline@litaxattorney.com.
We're going to have all your contact information up, Karen. Promise you on that. And boy, you've seen a lot of changes, I'm sure, in taxes in those years that you've been practicing.
Oh, yeah. What's most interesting is that normally the IRS and New York State are putting pressure on people for collection. So if you owe more than $10,000 to New York State, they take away your driver's license. Wow. If you owe more than $53,000 to the IRS, they could take away your passport. But what you're going to see now is a change of tone. And so now is a really good opportunity, if you do have a problem, to get your documentation together and come forward now so that you can get perhaps better relief, because they're being more sensitive to the needs of the taxpayers and what's going on in the world. So I also have what I call the cheat sheet, what is normally in the IRS and New York State's toolbox for collection purposes when they come after you, and what you can, as either a taxpayer or a representative, do to help. And so if you want any of those, you can email me at taxhelpline@litaxattorney.com or K Tenenbaum, TENENBAUM @litaxattorney.com. And I'll send you all of these cheat sheets, or just look at litaxattorney.com. We have a lot of blogs and articles that are relevant.
Thank you so much. And we also have a slide that you gave us that has some information on some websites and all. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much. This is so important to all of us, and certainly to our Long Island community here as well. So let's get involved now with some of the federal tax guidelines and what's happening. So we all need to know, what are the deadlines for filing and paying the federal taxes?
So how perfect that today is April 15th, but it's not tax day. Right? Normally it's tax day, but again, now the IRS is giving you a little additional time. I want to start though with a disclaimer. So this topic is fluid, and as the rules are changing constantly, almost daily, and so this is really not legal advice. It's just intended for discussion purposes only. So I'm hoping that everyone will learn a lot, but that they'll check with their accountant or their own attorneys if necessary. So the taxpayers can now defer the filing and the paying of their federal taxes until July 15th without penalties and interest, regardless of the amount owed. Originally, they had a limitation on that. And now this applies. They originally had it limited to certain groups. Now it applies to anyone who had a filing or payment deadline falling on or after the April date and before July 15th. So this includes individuals, trusts, estates, gift tax returns, partnerships, corporations, other non-corporate tax filers, Americans who live and work abroad. And now the first and second quarter estimates are postponed to July 15th. Originally, we didn't have guidance on the second quarter. And if you want to claim for a refund for 2016, it's normally a 3-year statute of limitations. That's now been extended as well to July 15th, 2020. And one thing that's new is the IRS is temporarily accepting e-signatures. So that's quite important.
Great, good, important to know, all of it. So is the IRS still conducting audits and trying to collect back taxes?
So they've temporarily suspended many of the IRS actions. So new audits will not be started during this period unless you're a very wealthy individual and they fear that you're taking advantage and getting away with something. But ongoing audits will be continued remotely to the extent that it's possible. And so will appeals. So many collection activities have been suspended, such as liens and levies, passport certification. I mentioned earlier that they could revoke your passport. They're not certifying new ones. They're stopping seizures of personal residences, and they're not referring to the private collection agencies. The revenue offices, the field revenue offices, will continue to go, as I said, after high-income non-filers and perform similar activities where warranted. They're also going to go after anybody where the statute of limitations would jeopardize their interests. You could go to the IRS website for detailed information and things like that. But as I mentioned earlier, they are being sensitive to the taxpayers' circumstances, and they're giving you appropriate relief. But you should know that there are no in-person meetings going on at the audit level or at the appeals level. And a lot of the phone numbers that you usually used to call for help are now closed. So that's going to be a problem. We actually got a call from somebody who needed a lien release. And because we're involved in so many liaison groups, we were able to get the proper phone number and contact information and get this person a lien release in the middle of this craziness. Wow. I would say it's really a great opportunity now to come forward and say, I have a problem, I need help. Let me get my financial documents together and maybe even your tax returns if you were a non-filer. New York State has a voluntary disclosure program that you could do online. And I'm going to show you about my app later. In fact, maybe put that slide on with the app, because this is really important.
Okay, you want me to share that now?
I would share that now, and we could share it again later. Okay. But this is a free app. It's the next slide.
Yep. Trying to get to the next slide. Okay. We're stuck. There we are.
There we go. Okay, so this is a free app, tax helpline, and you could download it, and it has really valuable links to the IRS and New York State's website, and it'll show you what you can do in the middle of this COVID-19 crisis, some of the options that are available from the federal and the state, but it also will help you at other times when we're not in the middle of this. So, for example, New York State now allows for the first time, you could do an offer and compromise online if you have $10,000, if you owe $10,000 or less and meet other criteria. You could do that online. So if you could go directly to the New York State's website, or you could download our app and we have a link. We have the same thing for the voluntary disclosure. We have the same thing for New York State's installment payment agreements. And we have the same thing for the IRS installment agreements. And so you have to meet certain criteria, but you could do it online. And that's really quite important. Okay, you could get rid of that slide if you want.
Important. Yep. Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and by the way, everything there is free. Everything is
fantastic.
free. And then you also get a free consultation with us, which, if you have any questions, you can always use us as a resource. We're always here for your organization and for the general public as a resource.
I appreciate that. So what happens if a taxpayer can't pay what they owe under their installment agreement?
So again, they're temporarily postponing certain things. So if you have an existing installment agreement and the payments were due between April 1st or July 15th, they're now suspended. And interest will continue to accrue, but you don't have to make a payment. So if you have a current installment agreement, it's not going to default. And if you want a new installment agreement, of course, you could always come forward. The one thing is a lot of people have a direct debit installment agreement. And now that you can't call the IRS 800 number, no one's there, you have to call your bank to stop the payment. But you have to resume it after July 15th or you're going to have a problem.
Okay. Wow. I've not heard of this, but what is an offer in compromise and what's happening in it?
Sure. So the installment agreement that I just discussed is if you owe money to the IRS or New York State and you want to pay over time, what happens if you'll never be able to pay the full amount? You hear all these ads on TV or on the radio, pay less than you owe, get a deal, 10%, whatever it is. So it's not based on a percentage. But let's talk about offers in compromise. That's what it's called. So if you have a pending application, let's see, and you had a deadline for additional information, it's been extended beyond through July 15th. They're not going to close out anyone that's currently there until the taxpayer consents. And if you have money due on a current, an already accepted offer, again, you have additional time to pay, but interest will continue to accrue. So they're not going to default on a pending offer if you didn't file a 2018 tax return, but you must file that by July 15, 2020. So this is really an opportunity, again, where they're going to take into account your sensitive situation and perhaps you could get a deal now. Now's the time to clean up all the old stuff.
Yes, yes. Now, what about the tax relief available for businesses under the CARES Act?
So let's see, there's the CARES Act expands the federal relief to businesses by allowing a deferral of the employer's portion of Social Security taxes, 6.2%, for all of 2020. It must be repaid in 2 installments. First, December 31st, 2021, and the second, 12/31/2022. There's also an employee retention credit that the business may be eligible for, equal to 50% of qualifying wages paid to each employee in a particular quarter, up to $10,000 per employee. However, you may not be able to take advantage of the relief if you go for the Paycheck Protection Program, and every day that the requirements change, and the most recent FAQs, frequently asked questions, says that PPP, you can defer until that PPP loan is forgiven. So that's something new, and it's important to know.
Wow. Wow. Now, do businesses still have to pay payroll and Medicare taxes?
Yes, they must still continue to file payroll taxes and the Medicare taxes, the 1.45%.
Wow. Okay, lots to think about in the federal world. What about the state world? Let's talk about New York State, all right? So now what's the deadline for filing and paying New York State income tax?
Okay, so the state was a little behind. So originally at a press conference, Governor Cuomo said, yes, we're going to extend the deadline as well, but he didn't come out with the executive order for a while. So it confused a lot of people for more than a week. But now, yes, you can defer the filing and the payment for individuals, fiduciaries, and corporations from April 15th to July 15th. The deferred may be any amount, and there's no penalties or interest. Other payments, such as the estimated taxes, are also deferred through July 15th. And you won't be subject to the failure to file, pay, late payment, or underpayment penalties or interest if you file and pay by July 15th. There is no extension is provided, though, for payment or deposit of certain other types of the state tax or filing a certain information return. And you have to, the withholding tax forms and payments must still be filed and paid on time. So you don't have full relief. So you really have to check again with your accountant to see what's going on.
Good advice. You already mentioned about the electronic signatures. So
this is interesting. So I mentioned it on the federal level, and on the state level, it's now only allowed temporarily till May 9th. I don't know the significance of May 9th. It's a little confusing since everything else is July 15th, but they're allowing electronic signatures temporarily on a New York State tax return through May 9th. That may change. As I said, everything's been changing daily. So let's see what happens.
Wow. And what is happening with the sales tax filing and payment?
Okay, so if you were not able to meet your quarterly sales tax filing or payment requirement that was originally due on March 20th, you may have your deadline extended for 60 days and have penalties and interest abated if you meet certain criteria that it was related to this COVID-19. But the relief is not automatic. You have to apply for it, and they're going to look at it on a case-by-case basis. And what you need to know is you then have to file the return within 60 days and pay within 60 days. This relief does not apply to part quarterly, monthly filers or prompt tax filers. And there's a website that you could go on to apply for the relief, or you could wait till you receive the penalty notice and then ask for relief that way. So this is not a guarantee. It's a case-by-case basis.
Complicated.
Complicated. It is. And you have to follow the bouncing ball. As I said, things are changing regularly, daily.
Yeah. So is New York State still conducting audits and pursuing collections for back taxes?
So that's interesting. So let's talk about collections first. Okay. So first, Cuomo, again in his press conference, said for 30 days, we're going to suspend state debt collection, but he didn't list taxes. He listed student loans and medical debt. So we're within that 30-day period. Are they taking action against people that owe taxes? Taxes, I don't know. The collection agents are not performing field visits, but they did not automatically suspend payments on the installment payment agreements and wage garnishments, which are called income executions, and payment due dates. So if you want to hold, I would say you have to contact the state and ask for the existing bills to be put on hold. There's no guarantee. Now, with respect to audits, they are continuing to conduct the audits remotely. You may have to sign an extension of the statute to extend the statute of limitations, but this is a great opportunity for settlement. They've been told, close out old audits. What's very interesting is we handle a lot of residency audits, people who either claim they live in Florida or New Jersey, Connecticut. They have an office in the city. They have maybe an apartment in the city or a place out in the Hamptons. And so a lot of issues are raised because everyone knows the 183-day rule. Well, what happens now if you're stuck in New York? Yes. You can't travel. There's a ban on traveling to certain places. So, where are you sheltering at home? They're going to be looking at this for domicile purposes and day count purposes. What happens if you're ill? Where there are certain exceptions if you're in a hospital, but what happens if you're sheltering in place at home? And there's a foreign country exception if you're there for 450 out of 548 days, but only spend 90 days in New York. There are different rules. Or if you're working from home for the employer's necessity versus your convenience. So all of these issues are up in the air, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in my area. And I'm guessing that we're going to have a tremendous surge of people who have tax problems and need our help after this.
Absolutely. There's no question. So that was the top 10. Any last advice for people? I mean, we're all trying to do this as best we can, and we need experts like you who at least give us information to move forward.
So let's go back to that slide that has the app, because let's be realistic and practical. Everyone's going to still have a financial hardship even after July 15th. And you're going to need some collection resolution. And you could try and do it yourself. So that's why we created the app. You could go there and try and do everything on your own. Contact us for help. But if it turns out that you do need help, now you can go to the next slide.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go.
You could always call us for help. Here, I'm going to take a picture. There we go. This is so wonderful what you're doing. So always feel free to call me or contact me at Tenenbaum@litaxattorney.com or call us 631-465-5000 or write to taxhelpline@litaxattorney.com. And I hope that this is of benefit to all of your members and the community. And again, I thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. And Lisa, this was so great.
Karen, this has been amazing information. People need this. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do. And just being able to have someone give free information that is valuable like this, I can't tell you. I mean, we really appreciate your support, all your information, your expertise. And thank you so very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.